Yeah, can you taste that beat?
Stick to the roof of your jamming mind. Don't let it stop, don't let it stop. It's peanut butter Phlox'em time.
Spread it thick, don't let it flop. We're spreading on.
Oh yeah.
We're spreading on. Keep it creamy now. We're spreading on.
Oh yeah.
We're spreading on. Keep it creamy now.
All right, hello. Welcome to KTL Season 2 Finals. These have been going a lot faster than I expected and a little bit more under the radar this time. I think because a lot of the people who were doing casting last season are playing this season or were playing this season. But we are in the finals and we've actually had one matchup already played between, whoops, that might not be what I wanted to do. Medaps and JDG314, they actually got to play their triad match live at GenCon. Very awesome, very good games. I definitely recommend going and watching those on the Ghost Galaxy site. June was doing the commentary. It was great stuff, but I'm not going to spoil what happened there. We can talk about that afterwards, depending on what happens with Nobe and Quickdraw, but in this one, we've got the adaptive match between these two players. So let's go ahead and look at the decks, and we should be starting very soon. So we've got a Winds of Exchange, Hotling Malinson Pericard, Shaman, versus Luigi Prosciutto of the Vermilion Manor. So Nobe is going to be using Hotling, or bringing Hotling. This is a pretty interesting Winds of Exchange deck. It's got the Champions Challenge as some good board clear. Not doing a ton else in this Brobnar. It's lots of, just nice value cards. The Frost Giant doesn't have a ton of support here. Actually, it's almost none, right? We basically just have the Get Hammer. Is that the only way to ready and use that Frost Giant? So that's a little bit rough there, but double Equiji Outpost, double Closed Door Negotiation. We've also got Ganymede Outpost and the Transporter Platform over here. This is a deck that I think I remember seeing in maybe earlier rounds this season. I think I actually maybe played against this one. I'm not sure. Have to go back and look. Oh yeah, I would have, because we were in the same one as them. It's a really interesting deck. Very artifact heavy, but also very fast. You can see it can generate just tons of amber. That can be really tough to deal with, but it is also kind of tricky to know because you can have turns where it doesn't feel like you're interacting with your opponent's board or just what they're doing, especially with this Brobnar. So you kind of do have to think ahead and really use those outposts to sort of stack your deck the way that you need. Over here, we've got Luigi Prosciutto, which is a Grim Reminders deck. I think we've seen this one played a couple times over on the Sloppy Lab Work channel. It's kind of a really interesting deck, but it's pretty strong. Let me make sure this is actually the right deck because this seems. I think this is the one he's been playing. Uh, where are we? We're on adaptive. Yeah, I already have it on here. Yeah, so that's the one he's bringing. So a little bit higher power level than you might normally see from an adaptive deck, but really both of these decks are going to be high power level. Both are a little bit lower on the Amber control as well. Luigi especially is very dependent on those Don't Believe Your Eyes. Psychic Network is not super live. All you really have is the Rebel to get stuff ready in there, but it's still a very interesting deck. Lots of kind of decisions, especially with things like the Jervy for archiving and everything. Welcome in, JDG. Congrats on, I think you took second in. I was trying to follow everything. Second in Archon or Alliance at Gen Con, and we did get to see, we were just talking, we got to see your triad match against Medaps. Always fun to see some of those decks in action. Let's see, but I think we should be okay. We're ready to go. I don't know what's going to happen in this matchup. I think they're both have the potential to just outrace the other. The key cheats in Luigi do make it a little bit interesting, especially against things like the captures with the trading frenzies and the closed doors. There's the opportunity to just give enough amber, but those closed doors could also make Luigi not haunted again if you're not careful running this deck. So let's get in here and get these games going. Runner up in Alliance. Okay, yeah. Congrats on that. Looked like it was a pretty fun week. What's up, Amber Medes? Welcome in. We are just waiting on Nobe here to get the game started. Yeah, and this is a pretty, I mean, all these games are important. This is a must win for Quickdraw here, though. So, oh no, we lost. We lost the game. We'll see what happens here. Luigi also has, so recursion is one of those things that I missed the talk about adaptive on the Sloppy Lab Work stream or their recording the other night, but one of the things that comes up a lot in talking about adaptive is recursion, and this deck has so much recursion. There's archiving, there's returning things with BR Geist and with Jervy and things like that. It's a very creates a lot of interesting decisions that if you're not practiced with the deck, you don't necessarily know what the best way to go is. Kind of similarly, you kind of create your own recursion in this deck with what you're using the outposts on and what you're archiving with the outpost. So, and what you're hitting with the Gruntworks. I mean, there's tons of decisions in both of these decks. They both have a lot of small incremental advantages that you're going to need to win these games. So, should be a good match, but they might be pretty fast, since they're both pretty high in the Amber Gen. Let's see what's happening here. Okay, they didn't switch to a beginner lobby. Players must be talking. And then the last one we'll have, I don't know if this one's been played. I don't know if anyone knows if the Archon match has been played yet between Astron and Second Act. That will also be a pretty intense matchup, I'm sure. Those are some heavyweight decks. Yeah, Plimpton is scary, and I know Astron's deck is a pretty. I think he brought it really wanting it to be kind of an anti-GR deck. There we go. All right, we are in. Second act does not want to watch the stream, apparently. Choosing just to commentate or go watch it directly on there. Oh, they move too fast. All right, so we've got Quickdraw on the bottom, again running Luigi for round or game 1, and then Nobe at the top with Hotling. We're just gonna call it Hotling. I'm not gonna try and pronounce the rest of that. It's too ridiculous. You don't think the Archon's been played yet? Okay. We are good to go. I'm noticing my webcam has a little bit more cropping than it should. Oh, there we go. Yeah, that's fine. It is not worth messing with right now. Okay. Looks like we've got Nobe going first. Yeah, Nobe on the play here. So again, these artifacts, going with recorded history, so getting some good archiving going right away. We've got grunt work and mass buyout. So it makes it seem like a Barabnar turn, and then we've got a Flumph and Fangtooth. Flumph getting discarded because it would just die to the Fangtooth anyways, but also makes it a little bit tougher for Nobe to try and get down a bunch of Barabnar dudes here, which based on that archiving, okay, that's not where we're gonna go with. Gonna go with that grunt work right away, pulling the archives. And we don't get to see anything get discarded here, so we're just gonna be wondering what happens, but we do get a token made and a Rogop discarding Stratosmech and Gestrudo. Rogop only having 1 Amber to steal, but getting a decent board here, and then that Explorer is going to be taking the Fangtooth unless Quickdraw does some more board cleanup. All right, we've got an in here somewhere is going to discard one of those Don't Believe Your Eyes, Grabber Jammer, Cursed Tomb, Spooky Charge, and Came Back Wrong. We're going to get a Plow Sword down. Let's see, there's only one in here somewhere. So using that just to mill rather than actually getting the archiving is pretty big. But I think this deck, let's see, probably uses the shower to throw back in a lot of the Geistoid. So we see a Barabnar turn with the Brawlin, making 2 enraged tokens, and then just getting some Amber off of the Smith there. And Champion's Challenge getting... Oh, that's what the token was that got destroyed by the Fangtooth, was a Champion's Challenge. So that's a lot of the... A good chunk of the creature control. Because Stratosmech has already gone too. We're going to need Broken Axe or just to get some of these Barabnar dudes out. I guess there's still a mass buyout coming. Okay, so there's a Don't Believe Your Eyes. Quickdraw getting haunted there, so actually getting the full value out of it after that in here somewhere. Discards the Curse of Disappearances. So not wanting to clog up his own archives with random stuff, because again, like, especially Quickdraw not knowing what the cards are that are tokenized, it could actually be really helpful for Nobe to actually get some of that chaff archived into Quickdraw's archives instead of having it kind of recycle. So it is an interesting decision. And then Phlox'em Spear also getting discarded as it would just die to the Fangtooth Cavern there. Okay, first Equidon turn here. We're going to get a Closed Door, which will take Nobe up to 9 along with this Equigi Outpost. Do get the capture on the Shrewd Investor there. Just going to be capturing 2 plus the Exalt, and then leaving Quickdraw with 1 from the mass buyout. What happened there? That was awkward. How does Quickdraw have 1? Oh, okay, did not exalt the shrewd investor, just used the trading frenzy. He played fast there. It was hard to catch everything that was going on, but one of our artifacts down. That was a pretty big turn of Equidon there, and we can see none of the other artifacts have even been tokenized yet, so there's going to be a lot of outposts coming out pretty fast here in the next few turns for Nobe, which is really going to turn on the pressure. Those artifacts, especially the Devil Equiji outpost, just start getting so much value so fast. But the 10 Amber is also no joke. That is a big for Luigi to deal with. As we said, a lot of the value for Amber control in Luigi is with Don't Believe Your Eyes, and both of those are gone already. And the Grabber Jammer. So there's actually not a whole lot Quickdraw is going to do to deal with these keys now. Dark Lamp also being gone. That 10 Amber is probably going to mean a second key within the next turn or two for Nobe. Quickdraw just needs to start turning on the pressure here. Just making sure he's playing towards his own stuff. Just going to be discarding and regrowthing a Flumph. Does not get to check, even with the kill on that Shrewd Investor. Just going to 5, and we do see the first key forged by Nobe. And there we see that super pipped up General Za Orha with some draws and a damage pip. And since there are no keys forged for Quickdraw, no tokens are made, and we do see some more drawing happening. We do see the second outpost get put down along with the Amber Road, and then a Gemcoat vendor with the Trading Frenzy, just going to get more Amber on it, just really stretch Quickdraw's creature control as well. And we did see that pipped up General get thrown to the bottom of Nobe's deck by the first outpost, so we're going to see that come back and get a lot of value, be able to recycle the deck with those draw pips, even though it's the last card in the deck. Still 9 left, so not going to be able to get all the way down to it with just these two artifacts, but let's take a look at our discard here. Decent amount of Equidon gone now between the artifacts and stuff in the discard. Not seeing much Brobnar yet, so I would guess we start seeing some of that come down just to try and build a board. Quick draw. Again, though, not super big on board control either. We do see a Geistoid turn. This could be a Winds of Death just to get some stuff archived, but that does kind of help Nobe here too. I think Nobe, honestly, if all these creatures get archived, you maybe never pull that archives. This deck is totally happy just recycling the same few creatures to your outposts and just getting other stuff out of the way. Welcome in, Architect. Sure thing. This is fun. I'm sad I didn't get to do more of the top cut for this season. I think it was just kind of a weird time of year for it, especially with all the Vault Tours and stuff. The kind of quarter and semifinals just kind of happened, but I'm here for whatever finals I can cover, so I love it, especially the adaptives. So we're all looking forward to the new season of Kagi, which just started this morning. I think there's what is it, Murph? Like 53 players in that. It's probably one of the biggest Kagis ever. I'm so excited for that. I'm probably gonna lose a lot, but it'll be fun. And so what better way to get us all excited about it than seeing some very high level adaptive here. Quickdraw, of course, having just won the last season of Kagi 2. Okay, so we do see the BR guys pulling back the Grabber Jammer. We get a little bit of capture from the Tribute Collector, discarding the Cursed Tomb, and then doing some damage with the Plow Sword onto that Gemcoat vendor. So it does stop the key, but kind of running low on gas. We are going to see more Amber. Oh, and Nobe just right away going with the Amber Road. Happy to let Quickdraw have that 2 Amber just to get to check here on that turn and get some of this Brobnar out of hand. Double outpost. I mean, this deck is 4 outposts total, right? It's got the Ganymede and the Broken Axe as well. So once they're all down, it just flies. I know well because I lost to this deck. I don't remember. I think I lost. I think I lost this matchup against Nobe in the standard rounds. But I did play with and against this deck for sure. And it's a very cool deck. But double Equiji outpost lets you find the other stuff you need very, very efficiently. Ooh, we do see loyalty implants and second grabber jammer coming down, and then a rebel is going to get some burst as well as some capture here. But I mean, Nobe is sitting with some big Bromnar creatures that are totally ready to take those out. Fangtooth is going to take out this rebel regardless. Deciding here whether or not to just fight the gem code that would get you in check. Yeah, so that's where he decides to go. Now we get an aberrant warp event. This is such a weird one, but it basically, how does it work? You play a creature and then destroy one of its neighbors. I don't know. It's a very strange card. It's very, very good if your opponent is playing around Don't Believe Your Eyes and you need them to have a creature, because you can force them to play a creature basically that you can then Don't Believe Your Eyes onto. One of my locals likes to do that to me a lot, and I hate it. Speaking of trauma, there's more for you all. Okay, so we got another Brobnar turn, getting that Broken Axe down, getting Get Hammer and Grand Gourd, and getting up to 9 Amber, now killing that Grabber Jammer. So we'll see what answers Quickdraw has. He does get his first key there. Finally sneaking that through at cost of 6, but Nobe is up to 9 now. Both Grabber Jammers are in the discard. We do have at least one more BR Geist that could be hitting here. So the trick is you can't BR Geist and then Winds of Death if you want to have a Grabber Jammer on the board. Because if you Winds of Death first, the Grabber Jammer that you would pick up gets archived. And if you play the BR Geist to get the Grabber Jammer down, it will get destroyed by the Winds of Death. So kind of a non-bow there if you really need some extra amber control from those creatures. But we do see Plowsword killing that Explorer, and that's going to be the Brick Nasty, so a little bit of sadness for Nobe there, getting that Brick Nasty tokenized, but at this point I don't think that's really something you're worried about. Next turn we are going to be able to draw into that General with the pips on it and just start really, really cycling and getting a huge hand. That's right, Cloggin. Doesn't matter if your token was a Brick Nasty if all you're going to do with your Brobnar creatures is reap anyway. He did fight. This guy fought into a Grabber Jammer. Let's see. We do see it in here somewhere. How did... I must have missed how we got that in here somewhere back. Because there wasn't... Was there a target play? Or maybe a discarded Jervy? I don't know. He got that back at some point. I'm not sure. Oh, it's probably Invigorating Shower. I must have missed that. Yeah, thanks. Amber Meaties. Good catch there. That happened probably on one of the turns where I was being sad about having lost to Nobe. Okay, Grand Gourd is going to make another token. Nobe probably actually wants to get rid of this card just to stop tokenizing. This deck I don't think really cares too much about its tokens getting generated at all. It would much rather get these artifacts down, so anytime one of them becomes a token, it would rather it be an artifact. But we are going to see damage hitting that Bumpsy there just to get it off the board. I'm not 100% sure why you hit that versus the Harvest Skimmer, except just to get it in recycle, so when you shuffle... Oh, here we go, and we're going to see Selective Preservation, so going to wipe the board. Oh no, just get a one-sided. Okay, it was going to die anyways. And that puts Nobe up to 7, and Quickdraw is pretty low on answers here. We'll see. What else does he have in Mars? Psychic Network probably isn't doing anything because the Rebel's gone. Unless some of those got archived again when I was missing something. Okay, there's the Glixel Proliferator. Oh, there was a Don't Believe Your Eyes too. Oh, he archived those with in here somewhere. Okay, so saving another turn with those two Don't Believe Your Eyes. Getting a lot of value there. Putting that on the token too, so that Nobe has less incentive to bounce those with the artifacts here. Okay, we are going to see Jervy getting discarded by a Psychic Network. That Psychic Network's not going to have any value, but that discard pip is going to give Quickdraw a archive from discard. We'll see what he actually grabs here. I'm going to try and pay attention for once. to what's actually happening with some of these. Fangtooth is going to kill this as well, so Quickdraw is going to get that right at the end of the turn. Okay, and we see a Tribute Collector, so that probably means you're going Winds of Death next turn, and just want to have some Amber control to play after that, just in case Nobe is able to get back to check here, which is fairly likely. We'll see what these outposts end up doing. Grand Gord making another token, which is kind of not bad. With the Fangtooth down, it actually does give you a little bit of protection from any creature you play just getting sniped immediately, but again, I think for the most part, this deck prefers not to make tokens very much. So Nobe having to think about this turn. I do think it is pretty important to get to check here, and if you can get to 7, that might mean the game. I don't know that Quickdraw has too much else in terms of Amber control outside of that Tribute Collector that was just archived. There is one more BR Geist as well, so if he chooses not to play the Winds, he could get a little bit more. I'm going to see Brobnar, though, so maybe just taking a little bit more of a... it is not stopping the key, probably, but it's going to be a lot of burst here. Yeah. So it goes for a little bit more aggressive turn there, getting the Smith, bursting up to 8 Amber, and allowing Quickdraw to get this key, but really asking if Quickdraw can answer this 8 Amber now. And we'll see if he has that. Again, there should be one more BR Geist. The archives this time was off of Jervy. What was that? Yeah, the Tribute Collector. I expect a Geistoid turn here. But again, just the Winds of Death is something I think Quickdraw needed to play before now and just could not get an opportunity because keeps having to stop these keys. More people don't want to watch the stream. Okay, so we're going to see Plow Sword right off the bat here. Probably going to take out... Ooh, dealing some damage to Krog. There was a Geistoid Call. And puts Zytar on the bottom of Nobe's deck. Yeah. It's a Harvest Skimmer, Tribute Collector, which we already saw, and then again, we're probably going to see that BR Geist bring out... Oh, there's a second Dark Lamp, too. Okay. Oh, does not have it. So that is going to be game 1, going to Nobe. Very, very interesting. Very fast start. I don't know that that deck always does that. And again, there was just a really, it was really awkward. Oh, and we lost it. Really awkward for Quickdraw to be able to really get the engine going because could never get the creatures you need on the board for Amber control at the same time that you were going to do a Winds of Death. So I think that just got really kind of tricky. Okay, so it looks like they forgot to make it as a reversal game, so we'll wait one more time for that game to pop out. There we go. Oh, he's got it as adaptive. This is only game 2 though, so this should be a reversal. I guess they'll just pick each other's decks and then they can do the rematch and bid. And there is not the same rules in this, I don't believe, that Kagi is doing, where the first deck always goes first. So this should be Quickdraw's choice. Okay, so they should be picking each other's deck here. Welcome in, Astron. Nobe got game one. Very, very fast start on that deck. And Quickdraw just could not get the Winds of Death to be able to get that Mars really running. So I'll see if... see if they can kind of replicate that this game. Yeah, the outposts in this are wild. I was lamenting my loss to this deck earlier in the season, but it's a very cool one for sure, and I think it's a pretty solid adaptive deck because it is not super easy. But Quickdraw has a very solid start in the Equiji outpost, just like Nobe had in game one. And then we've got a Invigorating Shower, Jervy, and Fangtooth Cavern. Archiving the Invigorating Shower. So going to use that later on, probably just to recycle the Geistoid. Man, these starts are looking very, very similar between the two games, because we do see the Brawl-in on Quickdraw's side here to get the 2 tokens, which also happened very early game one, but this time we've got the Brick Nasty and the Frost Giant, which again is not very live in this deck. That Frost Giant doesn't do much, and really, Luigi as a deck doesn't want to play creatures that much until it's kind of got its stuff going, so... Nobe having to think about this here. Luigi on the creature control. Ooh, there could be some interesting stuff you could do with this. If you could BR Geist this Frost Giant and then Waste Not it at some point in the game, that would be some interesting stuff. Do you see an Aberrant Warp event? So going to be able to take out that Brick Nasty for Nobe, getting out a Grabber Jammer, and then we're going to see the Rebel just readying and using that. And I expect, yeah, we see one of the Explorers get taken out by the Fangtooth. It is tempting just to take out that Rebel, just get it in the discard as fast as possible so that it's there for like your Winds of Death and stuff, but and to get yourself haunted, but you don't want to give too much potential for reaping or other things to this deck that's already efficient enough. Second outpost coming down again here pretty early. We also get this pipped out General Zaorha, which might be getting flipped already. Probably depends on what this token is. Yeah, flip to the bottom of the deck here. So we'll be seeing that General back in a few turns. That's going to be a lot of draw to get going for Quick Draw right away here. Okay. So we got a Trading Frenzy, just going to do some capturing, throwing a bunch on that Ironics Rebel, which is probably losing or dying to the Fangtooth. And then is it 2 Trading Frenzies? Yeah, both Trading Frenzies. So just getting a little bit more amber, but it's all stuck on these creatures right now, and we get the second Grabber Jammer coming down too. So, again, lots of Nobe's amber control getting played out here early, but getting these cards in discard soon will be very good. Give a lot more value to both those BR Geist and the Winds of Death. Not getting to check very fast, though, is an interesting thing, while Quick Draw just keeps getting these artifacts out. Transport Platform is another really interesting one in this deck. Because you're making tokens, you get the chance to kind of get extra cards from your deck as you do that. Got a Gruntwork here, which is going to be making a token. I'd be tempted, if I was Quick Draw, just to stop making tokens until that Rebel dies. It's possible he has a way of killing it now if he's got that other Gruntwork with the damage pip on it. Ooh, we do see one of those tokens was the Ganymede outpost. So kind of a bummer there for Quickdraw. That would have been some really nice efficiency. And that's, again, where these Winds of Exchange decks are just so interesting in how the tokens can change how the deck plays from game to game just based on what gets tokenized, especially when they're very dependent on like artifacts. Okay, selective here is going to take out the Rebel. Is that what I said? Tokens of change? I think I said Winds of Exchange. We're not there yet, Cloggin. And that set will not have efficiency problems. I can just guarantee you. You have 3 of the most recursive and efficient houses all in the same set, all with tokens that will most likely give them more efficiency. So we'll see. And then we get second grunt work there just to get another token out. And this grabber jammer stopped from fighting. Not a huge deal probably, but getting up to 8 amber. Quick draw getting to check here. First still at 7 key cost with that grabber jammer jounce, so could be able to stop it on Nobe's side. But again, not being haunted means any of that Mars amber control is not really doing much. Geistoid could do a little capture here, but you really just need to get to haunted at this point. Ooh, stealing a brick nasty with a BR Geist, as well as Krog the Clumsy. Again, these could be some targets for those waste knots if Quickdraw decides not to take them out. They're not quite as good as a Frost Giant, but they're still not bad, Krog especially. Okay, and then losing one of the tokens to Fangtooth. It was just a friendly guide, so not a huge loss there. Okay, Amber Road comes down. Again, we only really saw that gain 1 Amber and then not do much else last game. But if it's a closer game on the Amber and keys, we could see it do a lot more. These Equiji outposts, though, are going to start just firing off. All the Amber on the Frost Giant is kind of interesting. I don't think there's a ton of creatures to play out in the Equidon. Just 4 total. So you're kind of only digging for a few cards that you can even replay to keep these firing. We do see a closed door there for actually a decent amount of amber. That is going to be a lot of draw for Nobe. But yeah, that'll be check. And then we get the Shrewd Investor, which he decides not to exalt so that he can draw more with the second outpost. Doesn't find anything, so this is going to be a key for Nobe, but this is check for key 2 for Quick Draw. And really importantly, Quick Draw now has no creatures on the board, which means those don't believe your eyes cannot fire, especially since that Aberrant Warp event is already gone as well. So could see some Geistoid capture, could just see some stuff getting thrown out of Untamed. We are going to see Geistoid are haunted now, so could also get some archiving with it in here somewhere. Come on, Astron, we're here to play. We all want it to be close. Also true. But that's not the fighting way. Okay, Nobe having to think about this. Gotta remember with no creatures on the board, at least one of your creatures is getting destroyed by the Fangtooth, so even if you have some capture, you need to make sure you have at least 2. The people want blood, Astron. Not really. We just cards discards the Winds of Death and then archives it with Mehmet, so not too bad there. Does stop the key, gets another archive of Lost in the Wild, and stops the key with the Tribute Collector. Okay, so we know the Winds of Death is in hand now. So this is actually interesting for Quick Draw. Quick Draw maybe doesn't want to cycle as fast now just to make that Winds of Death not have value for as long as he can. Or not have as much value. But I don't know if this deck cares a whole lot. I mean, it'd be really nice for that stuff to get archived so that it's just not in your way anymore. But if you're just generating a bunch of Amber, the Winds of Death might just be too slow. What do we have for creature control left? I think, yeah, Mass Buyout's been played. Selective has been played. So you do have to be careful of that. You want to make sure you have enough to actually deal with the Mars board when it comes back out. So there's really not a ton of that, especially since you don't have the Broken Axe Outpost out here yet. Interesting. Champions Challenge with the Get Hammer just to get rid of the Tribute Collector. Plays Valve Blood and then plays the Grand Gorge. We are going to see probably more tokenizing happening. Yeah, Champions Challenge. I missed that. But we did leave a creature out there, so the Don't Believe Your Eyes able to get some value. Gonna steal 2 and then just destroy that Grand Gourd with the 2 Amber on it. So short, quick little turns here for both players, but stopping the key there is still pretty big for Nobe. Just gonna try and get more into the discard until it's ready to fire. Ooh, that's Smith getting value every time. That is one thing with Luigi, is it's basically never gonna stop Smith from getting value from the other player. It just plays so few creatures until it's kind of set up that wins. So getting to 8 there for quick draw, and then Nobe going down to 1 with the Lost Amber from the Bumpsy. We do see the Invigorating Shower getting played there for the Geistoid House. Came back wrong on a Grabber Jammer. Is going to do some taxing, and then some more creatures getting thrown out to try and protect that from the Fangtooth. Discards the Spooky Charge. Okay, so really trying to get down to mainly just Geistoid in the deck. Not too bad. We'll also see that Ecto Charge. The deeper into the deck you get, the scarier that one becomes. But that is key number 2 for Quick Draw. Only 2 cards left in deck. We do know that the General is on the bottom there, so 1 draw with a Ouija Outpost gets him back out. But is that really doing enough for you here? You really want to try and just burst, probably take care of this Grabber Jammer, close out this game before that Winds of Death gets played. Because at this point, I mean, yeah, at this point, the Winds of Death still isn't even doing a whole lot. We know it's in hand for Nobe because he took the archives. So yeah, we are going to see the Equidon play. We're going to do a closed door just to steal 1. Do see that General coming down for some draw, and then the Outposts are going to do more draw. Yeah, I think the answer is he does not care because he's just going to generate so much Amber and just so much draw. Like, he's going to have so much stuff in hand anyways that I don't think a Winds of Death turn scares him that much, because it's still going to be another turn after the Winds of Death before there's much value from it. And if he doesn't kill this Grabber Jammer, Winds of Death is only getting him like 4 creatures, 3 Mars. So I think it's... Oof, and there's another closed door. Getting to 6, passing over the Amber Road there, not in check because the Grabber Jammer is still there. Grabber Jammer is going to die at the end of Nobe's turn to the Fangtooth, though, which he's got to be careful of. He might not remember that this is at the 2 power right now. I assume he does because he's a better player than I am, but... Well, so Winds of Death is not necessarily overhyped, but in a adaptive match like this, it's a lot more sort of... the deck might revolve much more around it than some decks. Especially for this Mars, it really probably needs to get some value off of. I'll give you what I can. I think in adaptive, it is much more a consideration, just because, like, neither of these decks are necessarily, like, super fine-tuned. And so something like that can be even more swingy. Okay, so we get Don't Believe Your Eyes getting archived. The target gets destroyed by the Fangtooth, so protects the Grabber Jammer. We had a Psychic Network to steal some, and then the other Don't Believe Your Eyes to capture on general. So very efficient Amber control on that turn. Do I have a chain number in mind? Let me tell you, I'm not good at that. It's really interesting. Both games have started with Equiji outposts. So if that doesn't happen, if it takes a couple turns to get that draw going for this deck, I think it could really go the other way. I do think both of these matchups have drawn like strengths of Hotling and weaknesses of Luigi. Like Luigi has not gotten to do mass archiving. It hasn't gotten to do some of its combo stuff as much. And this deck has. So I don't think it's going to be a ton of chains. I bet both players want to play their own decks. But I think Luigi, it wouldn't take very much for Luigi to win this game. Just needs a little bit of extra, a little bit more luck on its side. Yeah, not playing creatures here, especially now that you know that the second Don't Believe Your Eyes has been archived. That is one of the tricky things against Luigi, is those Don't Believe Your Eyes get so brutal. Especially when they're able to kind of archive them over and over. Will do, Cloggin. Take it easy. Quickdraw even has a skirmish creature that is not being used to fight right now. I don't even know what we're doing anymore in this game. Also don't know why I'm drinking coffee this late in the day. It's not a great decision, but it's just been kind of like a rainy, dreary day. Sometimes you just feel like you need it to not sleep the whole afternoon. We're going Brobnar, so gonna get Bumpsy down. Keeps playing creatures. Interesting because we know that Don't Believe Your Eyes is in there. I think Quickdraw basically banking on Nobe not wanting to go back to Mars this turn, because it'll probably be Don't Believe Your Eyes and Grabber Jammer Reaps, and then Grabber Jammer dies to Fangtooth, and that's it. So, kind of a calculated risk there. Again, it's only for the 2 Amber, which Quickdraw could just steal back. We are going to see a Geistoid turn, though. You're drinking coffee, too? Yeah, it's 6:30 in the morning for you, makes sense. It's not quite, I'm not a caffeine in the afternoon person. Normally. Ooh, we see the Cursed Tomb, too. That's interesting. I guess just probably trying to get as much Amber as you can now. You already have creatures with Amber on them at this point, so it doesn't really hurt you. My guess is that's a Wind of Death turn here, then. It's also probably better, like, quality of coffee than what I'm drinking. And there's no bad coffee weather. Oh, discards. Discards the Winds of Death. Okay, so maybe couldn't stop the key. Interesting. I wonder if there was something missed there. So fought the... Okay, so fought that in there. Had the... Yeah, it must have been the Fangtooth killing the other creature that had captured Amber on it. He might have just felt like he had no chance, but yeah, definitely was not hoping to lose that game, I don't think. So we are going to game 3 here. So we will be bidding chains on... Oh no! Keep getting booted. Six chains? I really don't know. I really think Luigi has a better chance to win this than we saw in those games. But maybe not, because if Luigi just goes high, you might just get closed door. I got it this time, guys. I modded. I'm sure they have the best viewers, but I like my viewers. Ooh. Okay, that was a fast chain bit, but we do see 6 chains, which was Architect's guess. I don't know. We'll see. I think if it draws the way it did, 6 chains won't feel like it won't feel like much. Is gonna go first because that's how the rules work. So that's gonna be a little bit better efficiency. You're gonna see a few more cards as well there with the extra card on turn 1. Yeah, if the artifacts get buried though, this could be very rough. And if Luigi sees some stuff to get stuff in the discard fast. There's not actually a ton of mill in this deck, is there? It's really just in here somewhere. Harvest Skimmers can do a little bit. Yeah, I don't know. Luigi's an interesting deck. I probably haven't watched it enough to really know exactly what it wants to do, but it seems like it really just needs that Mars to fire on all engines. Okay, Frost Giant turn 1. So even with the mulligan, did not find one of those artifacts that you're really hoping for. We are going to see some Mars coming down, so possibility of some actions and then getting those archived right away with the Proliferator. Ooh, there we go. So Transport Platform and the Ganymede Outpost coming down. 4 card Star Alliance turn here on 5 chains. Yeah, 6 chains I don't think it's not a ton. Quickdraw going with a 3-card discard there of Flume Dew Fairy and Invigorating Shower. So at this point, I don't know about this whole side of it, where it's just like the Fangtooth isn't even out yet. Are those really hurting you if you just play them? I guess your goal is just to get haunted as fast as possible. Friendly Guides. Not doing a whole lot. Going to get a Reap and then some Transport Platforms with the uplink here. Get some Amber. And then we're going to get some Archives off that Ganymede Outpost. So that Ganymede Outpost is basically immediately going to make those chains feel like nothing. Okay, we're going to see Target come down with a Capture Pip is going to archive the Proliferator, Rebel coming down to get both of those working again, Psychic Network to steal 2. So lots of Mars coming out here. What's their discard off of Psychic Network? Came back wrong. Yeah. So definitely strong start. Still not quite getting to check, and there's still Amber available for Nobe to get back here on the Grabber Jammer, but it definitely feels a little bit different. You can see a closed door happening here, and one of our outposts coming down. Yeah, it's a pretty tough call. I think it was a more even match than what between these two decks than what the first 2 games looked like. I still think Nobe's deck is stronger, but it would not take much for Quick Draws to outpace it if this gets a couple awkward draws and if Quick Draw's deck finds kind of the right stuff, like all of this Mars we're finding already. Got the Target coming down for more capture. Discards the Curse again. Again, I think that's just doesn't want to clog up his own archives with Nobe's cards, which is fair. That Grabber Jammer is just stacking up with Amber. See, quick Brobnar turn from Nobe's side. Again, ooh, Champion's Challenge is going to completely wipe all that Mars off. Get Nobe to 7 Amber here. Quick Draw still not quite haunted with 9 cards in the discard, but again, this is where like a turn or two, that Winds of Death is just going to give you so much value. Yeah, there it is right there. So now you've got a bunch of your Mars creatures in your archives. You're not haunted yet, but next time when those like Don't Believe Your Eyes come down, like Nobe basically just has to be super careful about playing creatures for the rest of the game, because that archives along with kind of the Don't Believe Your Eyes could get crazy. Oh, we do see the post key closed door negotiation there, stealing a bunch more amber. Nope, going up to 5, getting the Amber Road down. See if he has a creature for the Quiji Outpost. Does not, and discards a Trading Frenzy. So not able to get the check there because Quickdraw got this creature down. So Quickdraw now is just going to have a chance to play this 9-card hand. I don't think he needs to take the archives here, but we'll see what he decides. But this is again where it's going to be really tricky. If Nobe doesn't play any creatures, Quickdraw also needs to find that Aberrant Warp event to be able to force a creature out for the Don't Believe Your Eyes to get value. So I think you just kind of start cycling your deck as much as possible here. Both BR guys are also gone. Could see an Untamed turn here. Haven't seen Jervy yet. Jervy could get you one of those BR guys back. Let's see, I don't think they're... Yeah. No one's showing me their hands. That's fine. That's a... Quickdraw doesn't like the games where you can see the hands. I like both. I like it this way because there's suspense. Seeing the hands is also pretty fun because you can kind of think through like what turns you would do versus what they're going to do. You think you play trading there just to put the 3 on Harvest Skimmer? Does Quickdraw doesn't really have a way of getting rid of that amber, does he? I mean, it's 1 amber. It wouldn't get you to check because 3 would get captured there. Yeah, I could see either way. It probably doesn't hurt you too much since you're not getting to check anyways. I guess is the reason. It's basically 1 more amber. That doesn't really change anything unless you're not expecting to find more creature control because Champions Challenge and Selective Preservation are all gone. So now it's basically mass buyout. Interesting. So we see the Mars come out fast. Target archives the Winds of Death. The only thing to archive for Proliferator is the Curse of Disappearances, though. Oh, Psychic Network comes back. Was that archived by the target the first time? How did that come back? I must have missed that. Yeah, the cycle started. So again, this is where we didn't get to see Quickdraw's deck do this. Games 1 or 2. But now that he's kind of in a position where he doesn't have to worry so much about keeping creatures on the board to stop check, he can just kind of do this. Wins Mars, wins Mars. And again, Nobe running short on creature control with just the mass buyout left. Okay, so we see... Ooh, is playing creatures. So just assuming Quickdraw hasn't found the Don't Believe Your Eyes. Quickdraw's also not haunted, so the Don't Believe Your Eyes really don't do much yet. So instead, just going to get creatures down to maybe start fighting some of this stuff off the board. And we've got another Ganymede Outpost, getting some archives there. Again, chains have been gone for a little bit here, so it's really just kind of the race game. And Nobe is still ahead as far as the amber. Quickdraw probably has the 0 Mars in hand, so it's really tough to know if you should kind of go back into this Mars. Because you don't really want to be archiving some of this stuff. But I mean, a 10-card hand, you've got to have some options here. The Untamed is bursty enough, right? With things like the Waste Not. The problem is Waste Not on this gives Nobe the key, especially since you can't get Waste back, or came back wrong. Oh no, it doesn't because we got the Grabber Jammer. So yeah, I don't know. I'm not going to tell Quickdraw how to play his deck. But there's got to be some options other than playing Mars here. The 10-card hand now, trying to get some pressure going. Is that both? Yeah, both closed doors are gone too. I lied. We're going Mars. Right, but the thing I was just saying is that we didn't see the Mars cycle come early in the other two games. And so it kind of made it look like it was tougher to get there than what it maybe is sometimes. Psychic Network doing its thing, stealing 3 here. We're going to get the target coming back out to archive that again. Yeah, that Champions Challenge, I mean, it was tough. That it was already a pretty decent board on the turn the Champions Challenge came out. I think this one was very tempting because it was like a 5-card hand and 4 of them were Star Alliance. So it's like, why'd you not play that? But yeah, it's a tough call, especially that early in the game to see so much of your creature control. It's hard to know how much of it you should actually play. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Could have maybe archived it though. Oh, that's why. Okay, so we see, yep, target coming back down. It's going to get an archive on that Psychic Network. See it, don't believe your eyes here. This is just going to be for a capture because neither player's haunted. All right, thanks for watching, Architect. Have a good one. All right, and then we just got some Reaps here. And Proliferator is going to archive that Don't Believe Your Eyes as well. So now you kind of have the tough question of if you... there we go. Oh, that's fine. Yeah. So we got the mass buyout there, which is going to get quick draw up to 11 amber. But you kind of just had to stop the bleeding for a turn. This part, though, is really tricky. Like, you know that Don't Believe Your Eyes just got archived. I guess Quickdraw probably needs to play a Winds of Death if he wants to go back into Mars here. But it would be really tempting just to hold archives, Don't Believe Your Eyes, keep Nobe off the key for 1 turn, and then Winds of Death next turn, and you get to check basically by killing it. But I mean, even just Geistoid turn right here, Winds of Death kills this, gets you to check. You maybe have a capture creature in hand to stop the Forge anyways. Definitely a tight spot for Nobe here. Both, really 3 of the outposts are down, both of the Equiji outposts are down, so you can start doing a little bit of cycle. We know that General is back on the bottom of the deck now for some extra draw. We do see Geistoid called. We're going to see a Cursed Tomb. Going to purge the other outpost. Winds of Death, archiving everything. Okay, so it does not stop the key there. Yeah, you might be right, Astron. Rogue Ops might be the only Amber Control left. Because both of the... Oh, no, there might be another Trading Frenzy. Yeah, there's one more Trading Frenzy, too. But yeah, there is not a lot of Amber Control left for Nobe, and Quickdraw is at 7 and going to be able to Amber Road next turn for an extra burst. So it's looking pretty tight. Again, both of those closed doors being gone at this point is really rough too. That would not be the worst play here. But having just played Equidon, you might not have any more creatures to give to the Equiji Outpost. Yeah, so we do see the Star Alliance call. It's got to hit 2 different houses if this is the Rogue Ops. Oh, we got a Gruntwork. Okay, so at least going to be able to probably force 2 different houses for Rogue Ops. And this gives you some stuff to Ganymede Outpost. Okay, so there's the Rogue Operation. Gonna steal 2. Gets Quick Draw off check. But we see the creatures come down. Quick Draw not haunted though, so Don't Believe Your Eyes is not going to do full value. But we're probably just going to see the Mars come back down here. Ooh, got an Untamed. Oh, could just be spooky. He's got to be able to get haunted here though. Discards Flumph. Plays Fangtooth. Regrowth. Discards Flumph again. Yeah. Waste Not. And there's the spooky charge for the win. GG's. Wow. Yeah. So that's why I was saying, like, I think even 6 change is not a ton, but both decks, I feel like, yeah, I think the draws just seemed like they were a little bit more in Hotlink's favor those first games, whereas if this deck really gets its engine rolling, especially with 2 different key cheats, there is a way for it to kind of close out that game faster than this deck can deal with, and we saw that happen. So there you go. Sorry, Astron, you do have to play your games. uh, yeah, variance is higher until you can kind of produce your loop, right? If there is something like this where you kind of have target plus Winds of Death, where you can kind of keep looping the same kind of 2 chunks of stuff, um, it becomes more, or it becomes less variant. But finding it, or what point in the game you find that loop, can be very variant. And yeah, for sure, with Winds of Exchange can be a lot of variance too. But both of these players obviously doing well in the adaptive rounds leading up to this point, so they're both good at doing that as well and at handling that variance. But hard to know. Hard to know if 6 chains was maybe the right call. I kind of wonder what they both bid like one at a time up to that, so it wasn't like anybody jumped at 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then at 6 that was the number. So this is why you're not an adaptive player. Man, it's hard for it to not feel like it's luck sometimes. I did so poorly in my last Kagi, but I've been doing the Coda adaptive in NKFL, and it's been super fun, and I've actually been doing really well in that. So it's just one of those things, like, I don't know. Some people just do it better, even when it feels like it's the variance always works in their favor. It just, like, this is not weird for Quickdraw. Quickdraw is a very good adaptive player, and it's hard to know what that is sometimes, especially when they're using like high variance decks. But they both got here. Congrats to both of them on making it to the finals, and now we'll have to see which team actually wins. Last match is going to be Archon between Astron and Second Act. I kind of want to look at those decks quick because that should be fun. So we've got, I don't know why these aren't links in here. Plimpton. Yeah, this is going to be an interesting one. CX bottoms of the Spooky Queendom. So this is your deck, right, Astron? Doing some in here somewhere. Winds of Death. Lost in the Wild, Reclaimed. Ceaseforge. Does this do Ceaseforge looping? No. Double Essence Entangler, though. 2 Exchange Officers is pretty crazy. So some house cheating. That's the Haunting Witch. No key cheats, though. And then Plimpton is another double Don't Believe Your Eyes. Double Mars first. Does not have the full Mars combo, but it still has plenty of good stuff there. Does have the target, which can set up a lot. Glimmer Spores can be nasty for some of those artifacts. But the Island of Misfit, I mean, really, it's just Skystoid. Like, this Skystoid is might be all he plays in the deck after turn 3. Yeah, it's kind of how that works with the Well of Memory and the Island of Misfit Toys. It's just kind of one of those decks. I remember you, Astron, saying you weren't sure about your pick after the season started because you kind of thought everyone would bring GR, and you said this was kind of what you thought was more of an anti-GR deck, but obviously you guys have made it this far anyway, so it's been going better, and you're saying it's getting better every time you play it. I mean, it looks like a scary deck. I think that Ceaseforge especially is just huge against lots of Grim Reminders decks. That's a very tough one to get past. But there's archiving in both as well, so you could see the Glimmer Spore coming out at the right time to stop the Ceaseforge. But our only key cheat is the Ecto Charge, so it's really, man, the Spectral Ruth too is just nasty. Oh, there is a Spontaneous Awakening. Yeah, so maybe, yeah. Oh, if you can archive your hole, so you be our Geist, his Spectral Ruth. How many times is Spectral Ruth actually in the discard? Like, that's kind of the tricky part with this, right? Maybe it happens more than I think, but I just feel like, especially in a matchup like this, you'd have to be kind of careful for that. You do have the Spontaneous Awakening. Does he have? Oh, so he maybe can't play his island either unless he's seen that gone. It's gonna be that's gonna be a chessy matchup for sure. It might just end up being like, who's got the fastest burst? Yeah. Oh, you'll be purging things. What's purging things? Grim Reaper. Yeah, yeah. This will be a really interesting matchup. You guys have a time set? I would love to watch. I assume maybe you'll be streaming it, but available. I could also try and cover. I do gotta hop off here, but your deck is weird, but I do think it, like you said, it does have a lot of tools for countering GR. This Mars is just scary though. Like I think the Amber generation versus the Amber control is also going to be a big part of that game. Because this Amber control is stealing in a lot of it. It's not just stopping you from forging. One game will end in Cease Forge. Yeah. Cool. All right. Well, that's it for today. These guys are still talking. Definitely a great game again. So if you didn't see, this is now 1-1 in the series. Like I said, go back and watch the Ghost Galaxy streams from Gen Con, because mixed in there, both, I think the last 2 days, not today, but the last 2 days, there are JDG and Medaps. Their Triad games were recorded. They actually got to play live at Gen Con, which is really cool. So you can go watch those. Got this one, and then we'll just hold out for that last Archon game to see who wins KTL Season 2. Still a chance for it to be a mostly sloppy lab work team. Is it all sloppy lab work? I can never remember if second deck is actually on sloppy lab work or not, but chance to dethrone them from that spot at the top from Season 1. Otherwise, yeah, thanks for hanging out, and we will see you next time on Phlox'em All. Later.